Some people are just not prepared for what is involved when they book travel and do not take responsibility when things do not work out like they expect. These are their stories.
I appreciate your concern and the letters that you have sent to the tour company, but I wanted to explain our situation firsthand, so as you can better understand the type of tour that they are promoting.
Buckle up. This is gonna be a wild one.
The hotels are each situated at a minimum 35 minutes from the center of each city we visited, so exploring the city on your own becomes difficult at best and very time-consuming.
We are going to go into this more later, but this was detailed in the brochure.
This hotel in Seville was the straw that broke the camel's back. At this point, my family and myself revolted.
Here's where we take the ugly turn.
We made plans to take the train from Seville to Barcelona at an expense of €765 and stayed at the Hilton, €915 for one night, and completed our own Spanish tour at a grand hotel in Midtown Barcelona, close to shopping, restaurants, and many interesting sights, to €1,175, including the cab to the train from Seville and to the airport in Barcelona, €88. The total additional cost of our Spanish tour was €3,943.
I bet you're detailing all this because you think the tour company should reimburse you for what you chose to spend on your own.
The Spanish tour from the tour company was completely misrepresented to myself and my wife. Had we known that the hotels were located so far from the centers of each city, we would never have signed up for the tour.
Please see my previous comment regarding the disclosures noted in the brochure.
By leaving the tour, we at least could salvage a positive Spanish vacation of our own making.
Please note you stated of our own making. This means that the tour company is not responsible for the money you spent.
As per our conversation with our travel agent, who was constantly updated concerning our situation during the tour, we fully expect to be reimbursed for the last night we spent in Seville.
Let's talk a bit about expectations versus reality.
Plus the hotels and meals associated with the tour we did on our own. This will include accommodations for 5 adults, and associated meals and expenses.
Of course it will.
I believe that the travel agency, as the agent for the tour company, has a responsibility to refund that portion of the tour that we didn't utilize because of the unacceptable conditions we were subjected to. I also believe that some consideration should be given for the additional expenses I incurred, at your discretion.
You certainly have a lot of beliefs.
The tour company and your agency would do well to heed the warning that I'm giving you, because this vacation was anything but. And I had to spend a tremendous amount of money to try to make the vacation end on a positive note.
Nothing like a threat to end on a positive note. You chose to spend a tremendous amount of money. No one said you had to.
If the tour company wants to offer a discounted tour, then it should be clearly detailed, so no one, such as myself, will be forced into a situation where I have no alternative but to leave the tour.
As I said, there is a lot to unpack here, so let's take it a step at a time. These folks booked a land tour in sunny Spain through their travel agent. In looking into this, the tour company saw that there were 2 Spanish tours with different departure dates and inclusions listed in the brochure. One was a budget tour, and one was a standard tour, and they were clearly marked as such. It appears that the guests asked the travel agent to book a tour that started on a specific date, and that date was for the budget tour, not the standard tour. No fault of the agent, as she did what the guest asked. They just failed to be specific in their request. Leading up to departure, the guests apparently never looked at the accommodations or inclusions for the tour that they were on, and were thus surprised on arrival that it was not what they were expecting. They stayed 2 nights and then bailed, never even bothering to tell the tour director that they had left until they were already in Barcelona, some 14 hours later. For the remainder of their time in Spain, they racked up almost $4,300 in charges for hotels, meals and transportation, and upon arrival at home demanded that the tour company reimburse them for those expenses that were outside of the tour company's control. The tour company provided all that they said they would, and just because it did not meet your expectations, does not mean that you are entitled to a refund of your out-of-pocket expenses after you left the tour because you were disappointed. They voluntarily abandoned the tour where everything had already been reserved and paid for on their behalf, and chose to incur additional expenses. In working with the travel agent, the tour company processed a cash refund of one of the nights that they were on the tour, after explaining what had happened, and mailed a check to the guests, via the travel agent, for $300. The tour company owed them nothing, but offered a goodwill gesture to them. But the story doesn't stop there. About a month later, The tour company received a letter from an attorney threatening legal action if the tour company did not agree to a cash outlay of over $7,500, instead of $4,300.
Please be advised that I represent the below named with respect to their claim against you to a company for failure to meet its contractual obligations. Specifically, my clients contracted with you to a company through their travel agent. The accommodations for my clients in Spain were substandard at best. While my clients contacted the tour company regarding the deplorable conditions, there was no response. As a result, my clients were forced to book 5 hotel nights elsewhere for a total cost of $7,571.86. Attached here to our copies of my clients' credit card statements with the noted expenses highlighted. The accommodations that this trip provided were not what was contemplated or advertised. As a result of the foregoing, my clients have authorized settlement of this claim in the amount of the out-of-pocket expenses in the amount of $7,571.86. Please review this matter and have the assigned representative contact me within 10 days from the date of this letter.
On the noted credit card statement were expenses for groceries, gas and other non-travel related items in their home city, as well as foreign transactions fees, souvenirs and experiences while in Spain. These were immediately deducted, knocking off about $2,000. In the response to the attorney, the tour company went through the guest's claim item by item and noted wherever the guests claimed that the tour company had been disingenuous, it had actually been clearly detailed in the company's published media and in the information sent to the guest and travel agent. The tour company declined to pay them the $7,571.86 they demanded and instead offered to refund them for the time that they actually spent on the tour, which was an additional $300, with the caveat that they sign and return a non-disclosure agreement. 1 week later, the signed non-disclosure agreement was received without further comment from the attorney. What's the takeaway? 1. Be sure of what you are buying. Ask questions and make sure what is being offered matches your expectations. 2. Take responsibility for your own actions. After leaving the tour, these folks spent rather lavishly, expecting that the tour company would just cut them a check. 3. Don't point fingers when you are in the wrong.